Hey, mom and dads. We know that toxins play a very, very significant role in our health. Obviously, the negative side of our health. It diminishes our capacity to be truly healthy. There's an author in Boulder here in Colorado that wrote a book called Frankenstein's Lunchbox, which basically describes how much our food has been manipulated over the years, just with gluten and other products, preservatives, etc., that have a really, really negative impact on our children's health. So let me tell you a little story about two women. They're very, very close friends. They go to the same church, they're in the same Bible study, they are very connected, and it's Jenna and Crystal. Now, these two moms, these are super moms. I mean, their attitude towards toxicity, their attitude towards even emotional and spiritual growth, their attitude about raising their children, they all have young children, in this really healthy, and not just to avoid disease, but also to actually promote potential. How well can I raise my children? I mean, honestly, Crystal, that girl could kick my butt. She is so physically fit. And Jenna, she is just so much into her children, how they eat. Well, both of them are. But they are super moms. They have got that world dialed. I actually stand in awe and am quite impressed. Kind of wish I did some of that with my children. I have 35 years in practice. And what I have noticed over these years is that this attitude of prevention of disease is much, much greater than it's ever been. As a matter of fact, with my pregnant moms that are going into birth, they know that the options that my wife, Heidi, and I fought for, back in the 90s, is like, it's just happening. It's just available to you right now. You can get a water birth in a hospital here in Colorado. It's amazing on these transitions that have changed. So why? What's going on with our kids? Why are we still suffering with, allergies and difficulties with sleep and anxiety and emotional disorders and ADHD and autism? These are skyrocketing in our society. With all of these wonderful changes going towards health and prevention and vitality, why? Why do we have? What's the missing link? What's going on? Well, it's not really missing. The link is very, very highly talked about. However, it's just not spoken about from the medical side. They just don't have a radar on this. It's not their world. We're talking about birth trauma. We're talking about the changes that have occurred in the last 2 generations in birth. Cesarean births are at an all-time high, over 30% in this country. Countries like Brazil, it's over 80%. There's this worldwide theme towards cesareans is a way to go. And honestly, I'll tell you that initially started because of risk. Doctors were just basically trying to CYA. They wanted to do everything they could to prevent more serious birth traumas, and they basically selected to do cesareans. Even the AMA is very, very concerned with the amount of the percentage of cesareans done in our country. I'm going to show you a picture of a young child that was born in cesarean, and you'll see on this picture that the upper neck on this child, because again, this is pretty simple, kind of logical, it kind of fits the aha, I get it. This baby is not being pushed out of the womb like you would with a vaginal birth. This baby is being pulled out of the womb through an incision in mom's belly. So you can see that this baby's neck is being pulled. And right there, that is birth trauma. Now, just because that baby doesn't die on delivery or has serious complications immediately after, it doesn't mean it wasn't birth trauma. So if you look again real closely at this picture and you see all this distraction, all this pulling in this area, well, that's your brainstem. That's the child's brainstem. That's the very, very upper neck. And keep in mind that this baby has not really been exposed to gravity. They've been kind of in an aquarium. They're in mom's belly with all this fluid. They don't have any real protection at all. There's no serious muscle tone. There's not even any real structural health in that baby to even come close to being okay with this amount of traction. So this is birth trauma. And this shows up negatively on, again, our brainstem, and also a very, very key nerve we call the vagus nerve. Now, vagus in Latin is VHEUS, and it basically means wanderer. So it's the longest cranial nerve we have. It literally is over a mile long, and it innervates basically the top 2/3 of our gut, our heart, and our lungs. So if this area is disrupted, we're going to start just with the neurological function of the brainstem. The brainstem literally controls all of our basic physiology. It controls our breathing, it controls our blood flow, it controls our immune process, it controls digestion. It kind of literally does everything. It's a very, very primitive part of our brain. This part of our brain is very similar in every single animal out there, from dogs to dolphins to people. It's really similar. It's just controlling that basic physiology of what our body needs. So when this area is traumatized, not to the point of where the system is shut down and the baby cannot, doesn't survive birth. When this area is traumatized, not to a point of obviously, death for the infant, but there's definitely a lot of dysfunction in that area. We call dysautonomia. That means the neurology of the area is just not its potential. And this area not only controls things like breathing, but it also controls your immune system. So in the respiratory system, you not only have just breathing, but you also have, fluid buildup, which can lead into things like asthma, can lead into things like congestion. So this newborn infant, it's going to get toxins into our body like everybody else, pollens, dander, etc. The body has to then process those irritations through literally movement, through what we call plumbing. And so it's not that the plumbing isn't correctly in the right place, it's that it might not be working well, which leads to congestion. Congestion can obviously lead to things like difficulty sleeping. It could lead to things like difficulty latching on the breast because the baby can't breathe well. And that can obviously lead to challenges that include all the way up to your baby's ability to thrive, to gain weight, to grow, to be happy, to feel nurtured. These beginning symptoms of respiratory distress, sinus distress, can lead to a whole cascade of other challenges. Now, earlier we talked a little bit about the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve has a high priority in your body's inflammatory process. So you'll be pro-inflammatory at this point if that nerve is not working well. And so then any challenge, any toxicity, even some subtle irritations in mom's diet transferring through the breast milk, these can all be accelerated or highlighted on the infant. That could produce things like rashes. That can easily produce things, again, irritability. So this vagus nerve not only can cause challenges with your digestive tract just through the pro-inflammatory, but also it literally controls peristalsis, or the digestive process of the upper 2/3 of your gut. So we call those babies poor poopers. That can lead obviously into things like colic, because the material is not moving through the gut well. And then that causes a small block, if you will, but still distress, colon distress, and dang it, that hurts. So I tell moms all the time, your baby is allowed to be loud. It's allowed to cry and to be expressive about what its needs are. But when those needs are met, that baby should find a sense of calm. Now that need might be, of course, nutrition. That need might be something like cold or hot, and that need might be just caressing. But once those have been met, your child should calm down. If it doesn't, we likely have some neurological stress. So here's the passion part for me. This is really what kind of drives me a lot about pregnancy and newborn infants. We know that we really need to resolve that because our body's given us the old, yellow light on the dashboard, check the engine. Our bodies will tell us exactly what to do and when to do it and how to do it. We just need to listen and learn. So my concern and the blessing all mixed into it is that yes, we've done a lot of great things with childbirth, but this process to make it from the medical side apparently safer, or to make it more convenient for the mom, or to make it more protective in insurance category, for malpractice, has really led us to way too much birth intervention. And that includes epidural, that includes induction, that includes antibiotics, that certainly includes cesarean, vacuum extraction, forceps extractions. Now, keep in mind that some of these procedures are life-saving. So it's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It doesn't eliminate these processes. It's to use them well. But if they have been used, come in right away, get it checked. We work with amazing technology that can literally measure your baby's parasympathetic and sympathetic balance, which basically tells us how much birth trauma they've been under. I have another mom. I mean, she's another rock star mom. Her and her husband, they're just so into potential and health and vitality. She unfortunately had a very small short length umbilical cord. So this baby never really flipped head down. The baby had to be delivered cesarean. She was concerned about the process, so she did everything she could to prepare her body and herself emotionally and physically for this cesarean delivery. Baby's born, baby's beautiful. Baby is stunning. Comes into the office, I do a very cursory exam, baby looks great. I'm thinking, you know, that we have really avoided major trauma to this child. This looks awesome. I asked a lot about how the baby's sleeping, about the baby's pooping, et cetera. And I had a little concern, but it was just a small concern. So we did a nerve scan. We did a nerve scan, and this baby's parasympathetic system was 20 times higher than it's supposed to be relative to the sympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic is fight or flight, parasympathetic is the healing and calm. So we call this a drunk baby syndrome. We also call these Velcro babies. These are the babies that basically never want to be stopped being hugged. They never really want to wake up. They're constantly sleeping, and they poop a lot. So we're not challenged with that baby right now as far as a lifestyle challenge. We're more concerned about the development of this baby. If we can't get that sympathetic and parasympathetic balance, that baby will not really reach its full potential. So sometimes it's really not about overt signs, it's about diagnosis. It's about analysis of the baby's nervous system. This baby is thriving, so we're seeing this sympathetic elevate. I'm really excited to see the next scan so we can actually measure it. You know, doctors love analysis, we love data, but I want you to know that we are here for your potential, not just your symptoms. And I also want you to turn it around a little bit, that these symptoms are really designed to give us direction. They're designed to heal the body and give us direction. They help us know what to do. So I don't want any symptoms. I don't want a house with a crying baby. I don't want a house where, you know, the baby's pooping every 3 or 4 days. I don't want a house where the baby is anxious and, you know, irritable. I don't want a house where a teenager is anxious or irritable, because happy babies, happy families. So it's a very big part of our practice. But I want you to know that if we see these things early and we resolve them adequately, hopefully to their potential, then that 25-year-old can change the world. Do anything they want. Well, thank you for your time. A very blessed day. I'm going to attach to this video Dr. Ebel on this exact subject. He'll just give you more information on the same subject. Also, we can link it to what's called pxdocs.com. It's a website that can actually not only get more videos on this or understand this more in detail, but also link you to doctors that are doing this work, but not right here in Arvada, Colorado. So if you're local, come and see us. If you have a friend in Ohio, have them get on pxdocs.com so they can find somebody there. If this video was helpful, if there's some impact on your life, share it. We're kind of a grassroots movement. We're actually trying to make changes inside the obstetric world. But you know where every change comes from? It comes from you. That's why hospitals are offering these water bursts now. That's why there's so many changes even in food and organics and etc. Because you, the consumer, the people, we're a great country. All we have to do is step up and kind of ask what we want, and believe me, it changes.